Hi everyone, I'm excited for you to try to type me. Um, so this is how I'm going to do this video. I'm going to look through this questionnaire and try to answer everything unless I really think a question is redundant. And then I'm going to go back and cut out different things, like if I start rambling a lot or if I think that something in the answer reveals what type I think I am, so then it might bias you. And I might also cut out some things that are too personal that I like blurt out but don't actually want to be on the internet. I'm doing this at work, so if I seem distracted and keep looking over there, it's because there's a door over there and it opens and closes, and um, I just would be embarrassed if someone walked in on me doing this, so I'm like a little aware of that. Okay, so let's get started. Describe yourself. I feel like this question is too vague and broad, but I will try. Um, I am a very considerate person. I care a lot about my friends. They're probably the most important thing in the world to me. I don't know. The rest of this video is going to be a description of myself anyway, right? So is this super necessary? Yeah, let's move on. What do you study or do for a living? How did you come to do that? What do you like or dislike about it? So, I am a PhD student in economics, which means that I do research using math, statistics, and game theory to try to understand people's decisions and behavior better and use that understanding to design public policies or programs, uh, or just like provide advice to make people happier or like more able to get what they want. How did I come to do that? Well, okay, so there's kind of two parts to this question. One is why economics, the other is why academia. So, why economics is in high school. In high school, I read this book called Freakonomics, and before I read it, I thought economics was about studying the economy, so figuring out things like interest rates and inflation, and that sounds super boring. But then this book showed that economics is largely about, or at least microeconomics is largely about objectively, systematically understanding people. So So what had bothered me a lot before this was that uh, a lot of political issues, public policy issues, were just like two sides subjectively yelling at each other, like, this is what I want, this is what I want. Um, but those are just like opinions, and how do you reach a solution when it's just based on opinions? So that really bothered me about politics. And then what was cool about economics was it is objective in the sense that it can be like, if you do, it tries to do things like show if you do X, then Y will happen. Like, I'm not going to try to convince you that you want Y, but if you want Y, then you should probably do X. Um, Um, yeah. So, so going into the second part a little bit here, why academia is, well, I think arguing that like I want why is important. Politicians, that's the politician's job, right? And I think that's super important to have that kind of advocate for certain policies. But when I was deciding whether to go into academia or something else, I was thinking about what kind of job would provide the day-to-day life that suits me the best. And in particular, the main decision making heuristic I used was, well, every job is going to suck sometimes. And which, what kind of sucking can I best handle? So, uh, so I really don't like the idea of just like arguing subjectively, having myself be evaluated subjectively, which happens more in politics and business than in academia, from what I can tell at least. Yeah, so like, for example, this is an example of how much I hate being subjectively evaluated. In college, out of the 32 classes I took, only 4 of them involved writing papers, and the others were totally just doing problem sets and taking exams with like math problems. Uh, because it just made me so uncomfortable to be subjectively evaluated. It's like, I don't know what the criteria are. It just, I don't know, makes me uncomfortable. Um, which is not to say I'm actually bad at paper writing or giving speeches. I'm actually pretty good at those, uh, based on various objective criteria, such as my grades in those 4 classes, or um, like winning speech competitions. And I love communicating ideas to people, but I hate fluffy things. And politics and business, I feel like success in those depends a lot on being able to be really convinced of fluffy things and just like so confident about them that you just uh, ingrain those beliefs in other people, and that's like not me. I'd rather say less but extremely meaningful things. Um, yeah. Well, what was the rest of the question? What do I like or dislike about it? I like the freedom that academia provides, because basically my job is to like read about cool things, cool different ideas, and talk to smart people about them and try to come up with ideas of my own. The part I dislike is that it's really unstructured. So that's the flip side of freedom, right? Um, on a day to day, it's to hard to stay motivated when you don't have deadlines for a boss that you have to follow. But you know, it's a pretty sweet job, anyways. What are your values and why? I think this is again too vague, and you'll probably be able to figure out my values from my answers to the rest of the questions. So I'm gonna skip those. Describe your relations with family and friends. What do you like and dislike about them? So, just really quickly, to describe my relations, I am super good at listening. Like, if someone has a major problem, I will sit there and sort through it with them, and I will be able to understand their feelings and help them figure them out too. Um, and I'm super patient with that kind of thing. So I'm like a good advice giver, um, or just like a good person to confide in. Like people trust me to not judge them and things like that. Uh, what do I like or dislike? Uh, what I like, I mean, my friends are my main source of fulfillment. Belonging to a community is extremely important to me. Like, when I first moved to college or first moved to grad school and I didn't have a community of friends yet, that really bothered me until like a semester or half a year in when I had a really solid core group of friends, and then I finally felt like, okay, I can handle the other things in my life. Um, what I don't like is sometimes people can take me for granted, but you know, ultimately I want to make other people happy. I think that's what I'm here for, and I'm not here for other people to make me happy. So if I'm taken for granted sometimes, that's not the worst thing in the world. What do you look for in friends, in romantic relationships? Mm, I like friends that I can talk to all of the different things I care about, like how society can be improved, um, or like I like being able to talk to them about my personal life and just like trust them, work through things together. Uh, I in romantic relationships, I would really like someone who can assert our mutual interests in the world, because I would be pretty bad at that. Like, for example, if we're trying to buy a house and we're getting a mortgage and there's some part of the contract that's trying to take advantage of us, I would really appreciate a partner who can identify that we're being taken advantage of and who can call the mortgage broker out on it and be like, hey, this is unfair, change this, da 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 da. Things like that. What makes me go super googly eyed over a person is if they are really disciplined and work hard and are smart and just like out there getting things done in the world. Um, yeah, I like people who know what they want and are actively working to get it. How would your friends describe you? Mm. I guess one thing would be mysterious, because I start saying, a lot of the time I start saying something and then I'm like, oh, never mind. Or I say like, oh, I have this crazy thing to tell you guys, never mind. Um, and like I do a lot of things that surprise people when they find out about them. Um, so I'm mysterious, and something, and everyone says that I'm like super compassionate and sweet and nice. That's like, whatever, fine, cool. Uh, Smart, hardworking, okay, fine. I mean, these are like kind of generic things. Then another thing that people tell me that I am, but I'm surprised by it, is that people think that I'm really calm and not super bothered by external circumstances. So they see me as a very peaceful person that they can rely on to just like calm them down in like a Zen way, which surprises me because I feel like I'm always freaking out and like high strung, but I guess that's not how other people see me. What do people generally see as your strengths? What do you like about yourself? So I guess I kind of mentioned what other people think are my strengths in the previous question. What do I like about myself? I do like that I'm super considerate of other people and that I'm always trying to show how much that I appreciate other people. I think these things sound kind of boring, but I think they're also super important, and I'm proud that I'm particularly good at them. What else? Oh, I like that I'm pretty introspective, so if something isn't going the way that I want in my life, I won't just blame external sources or just like stew in my own misery. I'll like actively work on identifying the root of the problem and solving it. What are your weaknesses? What criticism do you often face from others? What do you dislike about yourself? Okay. So, something that other people might see it as a deficiency in me, but that I don't really care about is like, I'm really bad with. Should I mention this? Okay, I'll talk about typology kind of things. I'm really bad with self preservation stuff, so. Um, or I think I'm really bad at self-preservation stuff. I'm pretty new to typology, so maybe I'm interpreting it incorrectly. But here's what I'm bad at. I'm bad at making my apartment a cozy, comfortable place. There's basically no decoration in the living room, even though I've lived there for 2 years, and I'm gonna live there for 4 more at least. Um, My bedroom only has photos above my wall, above my desk wall for above my desk for decoration. And it's just like uncomfortable dorm furniture. But I don't really care. I don't spend that much time in my apartment. It's whatever. Uh, like it's all functional, so it's fine. And I'm also bad at things to do with money. Like I did a summer internship, and 3 of the checks that I got in like July and August, I didn't cash them until like a couple weeks ago in November. I mean, and like 3 professors owe me money for work that I did right now, but I'm not really pushing hard to get the money. I feel like as long as I get the money in the end, it all evens out, as long as I can survive in the meantime. So, yeah, I'm pretty bad at keeping track of money stuff. But I don't really care because as long as it gets done in the end, it's fine. What I don't like about myself, uh, to, uh, I guess the main thing I wish I could change is maybe I procrastinate too much. I wish I were more disciplined and focused when working. I'm pretty bad at being able to do or say the right thing immediately in the moment, but I don't know, I'm not super bothered by not being able to do that. Yeah, and it also deeply upsets me when I do accidentally do something that hurts someone else. But I wouldn't say it's like a, I wouldn't say it's like, I wouldn't say I do that more often than other people do. I probably do it less often, but it bothers me a lot more. Yeah. In what areas of life can you manage well on your own? In what areas of your life would you like help? I think I kind of went over that. What things do you find to be a chore? What things do you enjoy more than others? I'll say something I enjoy more than others. So I think I like programming a lot more than other people do. It's really fun because it's like you're figuring out a puzzle and you're figuring out how an efficient way for all the pieces to go together. Um, it's definitely one of my favorite parts of research. What goals, aspirations, or plans do you have for the future? How did you come to have them? So I would like to the thing I want most is to have a positive impact on the world in some way, making like as many people as possible happier somehow. It would be great if that could be through research, um, or maybe doing something like directly related to policy. How did I come to have that aspiration? I guess it's rooted in the question, my answer to the question, what is the meaning of life? So it doesn't seem clear to me that there is a meaning to human life generally, but I think that individual lives can have their own meanings. And for me, um, my meaning kind of comes from this quote by like Emerson or someone that was like, as long as one person is happier because you existed, then it was good that you existed. And I think that's a great way to think because who knows if you can affect the whole world, but I would like to make as many people as possible as happy as I can. Um, yeah, and then more practically, I would like to get married and have kids. Uh, why do I want that? Um, well, I want kids because I'm afraid of death, and kids are like the closest thing to immortality that we can get, other than maybe cryonics, which I'm I'm also interested in doing. Why do I have to be married to have kids? Well, I want to get married because I want a partner in life, like someone on my team, and we can like work together to try to get the things that we want. And, just be like a stable, solid source of support for our kids. I actually recently had to question why marriage is important to me a lot because of it's personal. Never mind. Um, if you had enough money to live comfortably for the rest of your life without working, what would you do with your time? I don't think my answer to this will be super informative, but there's like two questions here, or there's the intended question and there's the literal question. The intended question, I think, is if you um, didn't have to worry about food and shelter, providing that stuff for yourself, what would you do with your time? And in that case, I wouldn't really do anything differently. My job is super awesome, so I would still just be trying to do research and trying to understand people better and trying to make them happier. But the literal question is more like, if you had a lot of money, what would you do with it? And in that case, I would still do, the research stuff, but I would have a lot of money, so I could probably do even cooler research. Like, maybe I could open some kind of socionics lab, or maybe I can help with those basic income experiments that Give Directly and Y Combinator are doing. I'm really into effective altruism, so maybe I would be able to use money to contribute to a good cause there. What did you do last Friday? I Last Friday was kind of a weird day for me. So I woke, well, starting from midnight on Friday, I was at the apartment of someone that I've been seeing, and we were, uh, so what happened was we were friends, we were friends, and then that night he told me he had been starting to have romantic feelings for me. So I ended up leaving his apartment pretty late that night at like 2 a.m., 2:30. And then I went home and I couldn't sleep for like an hour. And then I had to get up in 3.5 hours because I had to go to a research conference. So that was most of my day. And then I went to a friend's birthday party, which was really fun because it was a pretty big group of people, and we were just all chatting, joking, good times. And then after that, I went to the apartment of the guy who, just told me that he has these feelings for me. Oh yeah, so I went to his apartment and then we had another long discussion about things. And uh, we ended up deciding to stay friends. And it's the whole situation was kind of weird, but I'm happy with how it turned out. And I really like him. He's an awesome friend. I think he's my dual, so you can imagine how magical it is. And yeah, that's what I did last Friday. Okay, so here are the bonus questions. What is your biggest accomplishment? What traits, oh, I like this one. What traits do you find endearing that others might dislike? What traits are considered positive or neutral by others but tend to annoy you? Okay. Okay. I think this is definitely, this will tell you something about me. Okay. What I find endearing that others might dislike is when someone is, kind of really strict and a little bit of an asshole about it. So, in high school, there was this teacher who most other people didn't like because she was just, kind of mean and just really bossy and uh, just so blunt and direct. But I really liked her. And there was this guy who was just really argumentative and aggressive about his beliefs and just overall kind of an asshole about them, but I dug that. Um, what traits are considered positive or neutral by others but annoy me? I really, I really hate people, or I hate when people are really bubbly and friendly, but in a fake way. Um, that bubbliness, most other people see as positive because they're like, oh, this person's so sociable and friendly and nice. And some people are genuinely that way, and I like those people. But when it's done in a fake way to just for like that person's personal gain, it really bothers me. And I just hate when people are fake. And it bothers me the most when other people can't tell that someone is being fake. And it just like drives me crazy. What is something you regret? Who do you admire and why? What's been on your mind? What's been on your mind? Has anything been worrying or concerning you? What problems have you encountered lately? Well, I haven't been obsessed so much with this anymore, but something that I was obsessed with recently was artificial intelligence. And what are your religious or spiritual beliefs and why do you hold them? What are your political beliefs? What kind of work environment how do you approach responsibility? What was your high school experience like? If you were to raise a child, ever stuck in a rut, how do you see other people as a whole? Ooh, okay, these are some interesting questions. How do you see other people as a whole? What do you consider a prevalent social problem? I think I think people in general are inherently good, but the problem comes when they feel threatened in some way. Uh, so yeah, so I want to increase the total happiness in society by as much as possible. So I think there's two parts to this. One is there are people who are pretty secure physically, but they're still unhappy because they don't have as much status as they would like or something. So figuring out how to make them happier, I think, is important. And then the other side is helping people who are not physically secure become physically secure. One of my friends put this as um, he said, what you said is like vacuously true or whatever. Basically, you're saying to increase total happiness, you gotta increase happiness per dollars and um, increase the amount of dollars that each person has. But I don't think it's vacuous because breaking down the problem helps you figure out how to like do it efficiently. Um, oh yeah, so I think that I think that these two things are problems because when people are threatened in their status or in their physical security, they act out in ways that hurt other people, like by instigating wars, violence, uh, lashing out with hateful words, everything like that. I feel like if everyone in the world was physically secure and everyone felt sufficiently like they had a sufficient amount of status, then, you know, we wouldn't have wars. How do you react to conflict? What do you do if somebody insults you or attacks you? I try really hard to avoid conflict. If somebody insults me or attacks me, I just feel really sad and I don't call them out on it or anything. I just like try to like shrug it off and play it cool, and then later I'll go to my journal and write about how sad I feel about it and things like that. Um, yeah, generally I avoid conflict. What do you do if you're not getting what you want? How often do you get angry? What is one common misconception that people have? Explain why it is wrong. Whoa. All right, well, that was a lot of material, so I'm gonna have to try to cut it down now. Um, yeah, thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing what type you guys think I am.